To be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
And some Biden temper.
Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it.
Family, I hate to say I told you so. As a member of the real black media, as a member of the true black grassroots, we warned you that Joe Biden was an absolute bona fide, certified white supremacist.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains. Look, we need to reform the criminal justice system. Make sure black mothers feel confident when they send their son out on the street that he's going to be safe. We got to recognize that kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
In this video, he was condescending, he was yelling, he was disrespectful. We had the nerve to tell them that they, as black people, are going to be the minority in 2040. I've been talking about this. You all know, if you watch my commentary on a regular basis, you will know that I regularly teach you about the fact that they're concerned in the book of Revelation. See, we misunderstand how to read scripture. The book of Revelation talks about, it's styled in the scripture where it says the devil knows his time is short. They're styled as that, or as the opposer, or as the oppressor. They know that their time is short, so they make havoc on the earth. Some of you have been saying, why are they voting for Donald Trump against their interest? Why are they voting for Donald Trump and he doesn't care anything about them? Why are they voting for Donald Trump even though he says he's pro-life, but he's paid for almost a dozen women to get abortions? How can they vote for Donald Trump when he's a certified bona fide racist? How can they vote for Donald Trump when he screwed over regular workers like the people that's voting for him? How can they vote for Donald Trump with all of these different contradictions and his corruption and him being a credibly alleged sexual assaulter and so many other things? Family, they're on code about having white control. And Joe Biden said it in the audio, 2040. He said that they're going to be the minority Europeans. And he sat there and told black folks that the Hispanics going to outnumber us and we're going to have to work with them. That should answer some of you all's question as to why Donald Trump had so much extra support with some of the Cubans and other Latinos.
They said if you are outraged by the blood of Selma and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church, then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you giving them the weapons, you giving them the support, you giving them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it?
The white supremacist is already sowing seeds in other people groups in order to maintain control, even though their numbers are dwindling in the United States of America. Of course, we know around the world, the darker peoples of the earth outnumbers them. But I'm just saying, specifically here in America, the most powerful nation. Isn't that telling? I discuss it all the time. If you've been following my work, you know that that's exactly what I do. And I constantly refer to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book, where she discusses, as a physician, as a psychiatrist who is truly educated and so forth, she discussed the fact that the concern of people that classify themselves as white is the fear of genetic annihilation. So all of these different attempts to take us out of here, to attack us, is related to whether they know it consciously or subconsciously, to keep us down because they know that their time is short. Are you hearing me? Family, we told you guys who he was. And what's so interesting, after this meeting, I was listening to some of these black civil rights leaders who sell us out. They were on TV acting like nothing even happened. And by the grace of God, he allowed it to be leaked for us to know the truth. Dear family, it's time for us to do for self. It is time for us to do for self. One of the other things that I wanted to briefly refer to, of course, you listened to a little bit of the clip, but I'm reading from a piece here from ABC News, and NBC News, excuse me. And one of the things it talks about is he was yelling, talking about how defund the police movement, he says, contributed to the Democratic down ballot losses last month. That's what he attributed it to. Notice how he started yelling at them and told them that, quote, where I have executive authority, I'll use it to undo every single damn thing this guy's done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's a question where I can come along and say I can do away with assault weapons. First of all, nobody in that meeting mentioned assault weapons. He's mad because I think it's Cheryl Eiffel. I think she's the attorney. I believe she was the one whose voice, it seems like, because of course it was audio, so we didn't see their faces, but the voice sounded to me, I could be wrong, but the voice sounded to me like the attorney, that's Cheryl Eiffel. She was specifically asking him to do everything that he can within his power to use executive orders. There are some things that he can do in executive orders, but notice how he tried to deflect and act like somebody was asking for people's assault weapons to be taken from him. Nobody was asking for that. And they just sat there like little biscuits.
And stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too.
Yes, sir.
How dare you use this sacred space? How dare you use this beloved pulpit? How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to speaking out against injustice? How dare you use this space as a shield for imperial war? How dare you use this space as a shield for violence? How dare you use this space as a shield for genocide?
Little slaves. You're seeing this man for exactly who he is, and we told you. And you are the ones, many of you, said vote for him anyway. He's better than Donald Trump. And he's on this audio bragging about what he's already done, and he ain't even the president.
If this is managed correctly, we will hopefully get most or all of our money back. We might even turn a profit on the government's investment, every penny of which will go directly back to you, the investor. The rescue plan now includes these 4 principles. It also includes a proposal I made yesterday morning to expand federal deposit insurance for families.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics,
who've invested their money in our banks. This will give a boost to small businesses, making our banking system more secure and helping.
In other words, he's telling you to be happy with symbolism
and businesses that their money
and
is safe.
superficialism.
But even with all these taxpayer
he wants you to be okay without having any tangibles or substance.
Democrats and Republicans in Congress have legitimate concerns about it. I know many Americans share these concerns.
It's important, family, that we keep the pressure on. It's important that we still build for ourselves. It's important that we teach our own babies, that we continue to grow our own businesses, that we as much as possible police our own communities and make them safe and decent places to live. It's important for us as much as possible to do business with our black family, the diaspora around the world, so that we're not limited to America's oppressive tactics against us.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
I must confess that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rate, so to speak. It didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. Now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something. That dream that I had that day has at many points
specifically manifested in police brutality.
Free-thinking, innovative, open-minded Tommy Nation Politics After Dark. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, www.tommynationpolitics.com. I've got a Rumble channel, facebook.com/TommyNationPolitics. We've got some Instagram. You can see us anywhere, guys. We're not in the mainstream conventional wisdom and social norms kind of thinking, but we do get around, guys. We're very good at maneuvering social media. Can't open a laptop, despite what some racist Dixiecrats say about black people. Oh dear, guys. The blood of Selma cries out. Almost, what is it, 60 years later? Martin Luther King said his dream became a nightmare. Let's just look into why he thought that might be.
U.S. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order imposing sanctions on 4 Israeli settlers for attacking Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. Violence against Palestinians by Israeli soldiers and settlers in the West Bank has increased sharply since the start of the war on Gaza on October 7th. Let's speak to our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett in Washington, D.C. Kimberly, explain to us this executive order by President Biden.
Yeah, this builds on the actions taken roughly a month ago, preventing those committing violent acts as settlers in the West Bank against Palestinians from traveling to the United States. Now, on top of that, what we know is that it will go much further. It will prevent them from doing business in the United States, barring them from the financial system, and also receiving money from United States citizens, and also owning property in the United States. So this is really going to isolate those that have committed violent acts. And what we also know is that this is the most significant step that any administration has taken against Israeli settlers. And it really signals just how concerned this White House is, because what it sees is that this violence could really affect the viability of a two-state solution, something that the Biden administration is committed to.
How many people does this actually affect?
Well, it's a relatively small number, given the fact that this only affects foreign nationals, not U.S. citizens. So what we know is that right now it's about 4 individuals, including politicians. We understand there's at least one. We also know that it is one settler that actually was involved in the killing of one Palestinian. Others had targeted Bedouin and farmers. So what we're waiting to hear are the actual names of these individuals. In the meantime, we're also waiting to hear if the U.S. president might talk about this. He is going to be speaking in the coming hours in Michigan, where we are expecting he will be met by protests by a very sizable Arab American population up there. They have some of the top leaders that refuse to meet him because of the president's policies and support of Israel and its war on Gaza.
Kimberly, thank you very much for that. Kimberly Halkett is our White House correspondent. Let's now bring in Charles Stratford, who is in Ramallah for us in the occupied West Bank. So Prime Minister Netanyahu, I understand Charlie has reacted to this American executive order. Tell us about what he said.
That's right. Just in the last few minutes, there's been a statement released by the Prime Minister Netanyahu's office. I'll read you basically what it says. It says that, according to Netanyahu, he says the absolute majority of settlers are law-abiding settlers. He says that many are fighting in the military. He says that Israel acts against all lawbreakers, and according to Netanyahu, therefore, there is no need for any exceptional measures at this time. Well, I can tell you this, that having spent the last couple of months going up and down the occupied West Bank and speaking time and time again to Palestinians that have had either their property attacked or been attacked themselves, that is very much not the case. In many incidents, we see settlers acting with either the tacit support or the actual physical support of the Israeli military in these attacks. And we're looking at attacks against Palestinian farmers, most especially during the recent olive harvest. Indeed, today, it was reported that at least or around 300 olive trees that had recently been planted in an area not too far away from Ramallah had been uprooted in a settler attack. We're also talking about attacks on, in some instances, even schools and villages. There has been a huge increase in settler violence since October the 7th. And interestingly, the United Nations Organization for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs put out some statistics over the last week or so. They're saying that between October the 7th and January the 28th, there were, I'm just looking for the number here, 464 reports of attacks by settlers, either against Palestinians or on their property. A third of these attacks involved firearms, settlers carrying firearms, and around half of these attacks, as I say, involved either the tacit support or physical support of the Israeli military. So that flies in the face of that statement made by the Israeli Prime Minister. I mean, we were in a village this morning, for example. This is an Arab village in the occupied West Bank, Arab Bedouin. And just to give you an anecdote of just the level of intimidation and fear that these people were suffering, just outside or on the outskirts of the village, settlers had come up last week and they dug 3 holes. These were supposed to be graves, very close to this Bedouin school. Of course, this was a graphic warning to the Bedouin, to the Arab Israelis there living in that village, that they mustn't basically encroach on what the Israeli settlers there think is their land. They'd even put flowers inside these graves. We were talking to the Bedouin themselves. They said that their homes have been repeatedly entered by gun-toting Israeli settlers. Some of the women had been beaten, the children manhandled as well. So it's evidence like this that, as I say, is in complete contradiction to that statement from the Israeli Prime Minister, as this continuation of the settler violence across the occupied territories continues.
Thank you, Charlie, for that. Charles Stratford, live for us in Ramallah.
Shall we?
With the Breakfast Club co-host Charlemagne, the presidential hopeful made an egregious comment that has people questioning if he's worthy of their vote. Towards the end of the almost 20-minute interview, Charlemagne touched on an issue of great concern. Who will be Joe's running mate?
Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. They have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you, there are multiple black women being considered.
Multiple black women.
Multiple.
Many
Charlemagne
women.
had a follow-up question, but got interrupted by someone off camera saying their time was up. The radio host instead invited Biden to come back, but Joe's response was off-putting.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
The comment may have been directed just at Charlemagne, but it plays into the false notion that Democrats own the black vote and don't have to earn the black vote. Furthermore, a privileged white man does not get to dictate what is and isn't black. And unfortunately for Joe, Twitter is on a tirade, calling him entitled, an idiot, and wondering if he truly is the lesser of two evils.
So we found out that question, guys. The Democrats and Republicans, lesser of two evils? How about most evil? How about For 4 years, they went on talking about how Trump was racist. Then they get the most racist Dixiecrat in the entire fucking party to be president. You know what's even worse? What I find even more disgusting to the Democrats being complete hypocrites, because that's not new. What I find the most disgusting, guys, is that we literally helped this guy become president. Y'all remember South Carolina?
The Democratic presidential primary campaign begins tomorrow in South Carolina for the first time ever. The vote may be an important test for the support of President Biden, especially with black voters who helped revive his campaign 4 years ago. Nicole Killian is talking with voters in Columbia, South Carolina.
How are you doing today? Great. You guys are here to vote?
Southern hospitality on full display as South Carolina hosts the first sanctioned Democratic primary in the country, with early voting already underway.
Thank you, South Carolina.
In 2020, an endorsement from Congressman Jim Clyburn catapulted President Biden to frontrunner status. He swept the state, winning 48% of the vote in the primary and 60% of the black vote.
I wouldn't be here without the Democratic voters of South Carolina, and that's a fact.
The president and vice president have made multiple trips to the state to target black voters, but support may be softening. A recent CBS News poll shows 77% of black voters would back the president in a potential general election rematch with former President Trump, down 10 points from 2020.
I want to talk about why it's so important that you get out and vote.
At this Greenville church, Pastor Curtis Johnson is worried about a potential lack of enthusiasm.
How concerned are you that people will sit this election out?
I'm very concerned about it. I am concerned that so many of our community, and I understand, feeling that some of the issues that are more relevant to us are not being addressed.
We met with some members of his congregation who were split on their support, including independent voter Shannon Sloan.
Who did you support in 2020?
Joe Biden.
Why not vote for him again?
Well, I'm just trying to see if does he have any new ideas?
I was actually looking for something new, but I did support Biden.
Does Joe Biden excite you?
Honestly, no politician really excites me. I do like how Joe Biden is taking the country, and he doesn't get enough credit for it.
To have two octogenarians go and be our only candidates and consider them to be strong candidates is very difficult. I will be voting for Joe Biden. Not that I agree with everything that's taken place, but he is the better.
I remember Bernie Sanders. Y'all remember when we turned our back on free healthcare for a fucking Dixiecrat? Now it's like, ever since like 2 years into it, when he said he just completely rejected the Black Lives Matter movement. He rode us until we were a dead horse. But then the root, guys, the root. This was January 20th, 2023. So not too long ago. 2 years in, what has President Joe Biden done for Black Americans? Black Americans helped deliver the presidency to Joe Biden. And because he appointed Kamala Harris, you know. He gave us a little bit of bait and put on a hook. And we just, we bit back onto the Democratic plantation. Like niggers. Yeah, I'll say it. There's really, like, guys, there's really only one kind of black person that makes me actually believe in the word nigger. And it's fucking black people that vote for the Democrats. I think that that's probably the most truest definition of what a nigger is. Black Americans helped deliver the presidency to Joe Biden. So embarrassing, guys. It's not a stretch to say that without Black Americans, the root says, Joe Biden might not be sitting in the White House today. No. Now we're halfway through the first term. Halfway through the first term, and it's worth checking in to see how Biden is delivered to the community that helped put him into power. How has he delivered to Black America? Well, let's list the achievements, guys. We incarcerate more people per capita than any other country. He helped to incarcerate Black Americans, so he helped us there if we wanted to be incarcerated. He signed a COVID relief package that didn't give us $2,000 checks out the door day one. He nominated 0 Black judges. He put up Kamala Harris as his VP because she knew that he was a segregationist back in the 60s. We're black people that vote for the Democrats. No, they're niggers. They would never know that he was a segregationist. Obviously. Remember, I keep telling you, these black people that vote for Democrats are niggers. Just gotta be truthful about it. What has Biden done about student debt? Biden's decision to forgive thousands of dollars in student debt was yet another unfulfilling promise to black voters. It's still illegal in limbo, he says, trying to keep us on the hook, keeping us on the hook, guys. That's the game the dimmies play. The student debt is hardly the only issue where Biden's policy agendas have fallen flat for black Americans that have not really gained any kind of assets or wealth after the redlining and Jim Crow era. It's very slow, guys. Slow progress. It's like Martin Luther King talked about, the tranquilizing drug of gradualism, guys. It's what we're on. It's not crack cocaine anymore. Now the FBI stopped putting that in our neighborhoods. Now the Democrats feed us straight up fucking tranquilizing drugs of gradualism. We don't need crack no more. We got media. We got black Americans not thriving under President Biden or Obama. Remember when they did the bank bailouts? Remember that little coon, Barack Obama, selling it out black America, feeding the stock market and Wall Street with billions and trillions of dollars that they would never have to pay off? No, not even interest, guys. Not even interest. I think that's socialism. Y'all think. But starting to really digress for the Biden guy. The veil of non-racism is starting to come off in a deep way. And people are starting to become disgusted by this sick war criminal. It's currently being investigated for war crimes. Mark Lamont Hill, famous from ESPN, he had some words to say about Genocide Joe. Let's listen to the whiteness. You ain't black. Remember that, Jack.
You're outraged by the blood of Selma, and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church.
Look, Jack.
Then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you giving them the weapons, you giving them the support, you giving them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it? They marched and stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too. Yes, sir. How dare you use this sacred space? How dare you use this beloved pulpit? How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to speaking out against injustice?
Hallelujah.
How dare you use this space as a shield for imperial war? How dare you use this space as a shield for violence? How dare you use this space as a shield for genocide?
Operation Get Behind the Darkness.
You're outraged by the blood of Selma, and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church. Then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you giving them the weapons, you giving them the...
Well, he doesn't want a ceasefire. He's a murderous, psychopathic, warmongering criminal. So, Mark, to answer your question, why would he do something that Jesus would do? He's the exact opposite of Jesus. He's Satan. Obama only made him vice president because he had to fucking carry the Mason-Dixie line states, Delaware. What's else on Mason-Dixie line? Kentucky? Did Obama win Kentucky? Probably went red. It's usually red.
Support. You giving them the money, Joe. Why don't you do something?
The money, Joe.
They marched.
What about my money, Joe?
And got kicked out of the
church. That's my money.
And people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too.
Oh, Joe. Say this, oh, Joe.
How dare you use this sacred space?
Oh, Joe, no, oh, Joe.
How dare you use this beloved pulpit?
Oh, Joe.
How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to speaking out against injustice?
Oh, Joe, say this, Joe.
Use this space
no,
as
Joe,
a shield for imperial war. How dare you use this space as a shield for violence? How dare you use this space as a shield for genocide? They said if you are outraged by the blood of Selma, and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church, then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you giving them the weapons, you giving them the support, you giving them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it? They marched and stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said...
You know, it's funny, like, Joe, he didn't even give us $2,000 checks out the door. Day one. But he did give up. That crazy, guys? I'm on stereo. I have to be honest, guys. I'm on my stereo because, like, my friend just died. I found out he got a gunshot wound to the head. I knew he was going to die eventually because he just kept doing stupid shit, you know? And so I had to let him go. The last word I said to him was, you know, I'm not going to go out like that. I can't be around stupid shit. I feel proud of myself because, like, I stood up for myself and I decided I wasn't going to go to some fucking ghetto alley and try to do fucking crack in a trap house and fucking get shot by a fucking Mexican fucking cartel dude in Texas. My friend, he was white. He tried to fucking steal from cartel. Because white people think that they can just do that shit because they have guns. But he got a gunshot to the head, man. And at this point in my life, I've lost a lot of friends. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I feel like just what's one more death in the sea of despair, and homelessness, and poverty, and uncertainty, and war, endless war, and military-industrial complex, Wall Street, the banks, and the deep state, tyranny, ravaging the country. We're all slaves in a feudalist state right now. We're all cogs on a wheel. And the wheel's not Lannister or Targaryen. It's fucking Biden, Clinton, Trump. I feel like I'm at a loss. But I had to cut my losses, guys. I had to tell my friend Chris goodbye. And I knew eventually he was going to end up dead somewhere. Because you run out of luck. You run out of luck, guys. Eventually. When you fuck with cretins and criminals, you run out of luck. And I'm so glad I stood up to life. Because my values are, as an American, my life values are life, liberty, and happiness. I stood up to my life. I had to cut off of someone I cared about because I knew he was going to die. I knew that was the way he was going to go. It's really not surprising to me that he did end up in a gutter in Corpus Christi with a gunshot to the head. It's not surprising to me that Joe Biden is a racist. That said nothing will fundamentally change and then delivered nothing to black people. Yet, guys, when I confront the truth as a courageous human being, I'm just invested in reality. I seem to get pushback from these mindless zombie bandwagon mentality niggers. The ones I'm talking about specifically are black people that are still voting for Democrats. How ashamed are you right now? Are you ashamed? Do you feel ashamed? Because you should be ashamed. Did you know that, like, the rest of the races that immigrated here, like the Irish, Vietnamese, we had a whole war of Vietnam. Do you know what the Vietnamese are doing now? They're creating wealth hardcore, bro. Some of the hardest working people I know. They own restaurants. They own hotels. What do black people own? Black people own nothing. We're fucking literally, we assimilated into a white supremacist system after they enslaved us. And then we vote for these fucking crooked, warmongering, murderers. And I feel as if, guys, I kind of get a low self-esteem as a black person, just even thinking about the fact that the people that call us niggers, we now cast our votes for and pretend it's patriotic. We pretend that, like, literally, you hear Mark Lamont Hill. Like, is this the news? Do you feel new? Do you feel like this is some news or something? This is a breaking news or something? The blood of Selma, guys? Where we had to fucking literally march to vote in this country?
How dare you use this sacred space?
And then he tries to literally take the black church, bro. This pretender, warmonger, Dixiecrat, racist, cretin, this low-life, tyrannical thief, Joe Biden. And he tries to use the black church to hide his war crimes and murders. And how many of you are ashamed of yourselves? How many of you are going to vote for this still? You should be ashamed of yourself. God, I want some black person to come on that's going to tell me that they're voting for Joe Biden still. I want to dissect your way of thinking, piece by piece, stone by stone, brick by brick. I want to uncover the stupidity that can only be defined as nigger. I want to uncover that. I want to get us out of the nigger mindset. We're still in the nigger mindset, guys. I hate to give you breaking news, but there's a lot of us that are African Americans that to this day are nigger mindsets. We like to hear a Dixiecrat tell us we're not black. We like to hear an old white racist cracker talk about how black people are this, how black people are that. This white, decrepit, dementia-riddled Dixiecrat wants to define what black is. You let him. You vote for him. He wants to define to you what a woman is. You let him. He's your master. Are you fucking literally not ashamed of yourselves? That you cowered before a Dixiecrat, dementia-riddled, thieving, murderous, scumbag, lying, totalitarian fascist? Guys, just because you didn't like Trump? Personally, guys, I thought Trump was dumb, but way more entertaining than a lying racist who calls us, how many fucking videotapes can you go on to see racist Biden? I was my first video, guys. I put a video together, literally, of Biden saying racist things. It went on for like 65 minutes. I edited it. So this is not breaking news, guys. And that's why I have to really confront any black American still voting Democrat. And I have to literally call you out for what you are. You're a fucking nigger. I have to tell you that, man. And I'm tired of you niggers, bro. I really am. Niggering around with your nigger selves, guys. Tired of you guys. You're making us look bad. You're making us look like fucking idiot niggers. Voted for Joe Biden. Did you know that? Somebody's got to tell you guys. Somebody really does. I'm tired of this fucking niggerish attitude where we're on this plantation of a lying psychopath murderer that doesn't ever even intend on fulfilling his promises to us because he doesn't think we're even humans. He thinks we're apes. He thinks that he's in a racial jungle. He made a crime bill to incarcerate our asses. You guys are fucking kissing his fucking feet. Where are you fucking Democrat niggers? Where are you? Come to me. Come to me. Say something smart. Like, but Trump. Say but Trump to me. Come on. Come on, niggers. You know you hear me. Hey, well, let's just move on, guys. See, I'm putting a little bait on a hook for you niggers out there. I'm trying to let you guys know that I'm here for you. Tommy Nation Politics is here at 3 a.m. in the morning to confront you guys and give you an intervention on your nigger mindsets. Just want to let you know. Guys, it's not all rainbows and candy canes, guys. It's not all sunshines and daisies. Not all Wall Street bailouts and Ukraine funding. It seems to me like on the bright side, COVID deaths among black Americans plummeted. I mean, thank God for herd immunity, huh? I mean, it's a difficult question to see whether or not your master is going to deliver on any of his campaign promises, but most likely not, because he literally thinks that you're a dumb nigger who he can literally go to South Carolina, into your barbershop, tell you a few things about what black people are, and then you're going to go ahead and fucking assimilate into his dumb crackerjack game. And he's going to fucking assign himself. He's going to buy himself a black vice president. So the one, in fact, that told everyone during the Democratic debates he was a fucking segregationist.
But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Look,
everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education.
Y'all remember that? Of course you don't, you're niggers. But Joe Biden, guys, it's not the disgusting comments. It's not the racist past. It's not the incriminating crime bill. It's not the megalomaniac, warmongering, bloodthirsty nature of his policies. It's really, guys, you. And I have to tell you that you're going to start getting shredded. You want to associate yourself
if you're using Xbox
with this anymore.
Check this out.
A lot of us black people are tired of being niggers, being seen as niggers.
With all due respect, your latest comments are both pathetic and hurtful. Your quote, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, you ain't black. Well, I think that in civil discourse, we can have our disagreements on politics. But you challenging me and millions of other people out there on their blackness, descendants of slaves.
He's of course going to challenge you on their blackness. He owns you, right? So why would you question that? I know Charlemagne the God's not questioning that. Did you see Charlemagne the God even say one fucking word back to him? That's how I know you guys are niggas. You guys are literally just let it happen. How do you even fucking do it? I don't think you even know. I don't think your nigger minds can comprehend what you're doing. But I'll tell you what, the Associated Press, out today, Republicans see an opportunity with black voters, prompting mobilization for the Biden campaign. So he's out there in the barbershops, on the streets, in Skid Row, trying to talk about how he's going to do all these things that he's never going to do. Nothing will fundamentally change. But you niggers need to vote for him because Trump, right? Shithole country, as Trump called it. Turns out, he might be right. Turns out, y'all might be niggas. Who knows? Who knew, guys? Who knew that you actually proved the racist correctly when you decided to assimilate into their dumb games? Who knew that, guys? First black president, guys, was Barack Obama. In his earliest days, he, of course, was a community organizer, right? He organized a Wall Street bailout in the sum of trillions of dollars to not help out black America, but to secure his re-election and to whore himself out to the white elites that have always owned this country and will never stop, never let it go, never disarm themselves, never not enslave us. So insidious are these elites that they wrote into the 13th Amendment a clause for slavery. Do you guys even care? I don't know, man. Probably not, you niggas, right? What do you niggers care about anyway? Just asking. Black pastors are starting to see the contradictory rhetoric from Jesus Christ and a warmongering racist Dixiecrat that has lied every day he's been alive. Everything he says is a lie. Everything he does is a crime. Everything he is a corrupt cretin. So I think they're starting to notice that because it's very, very transparent. It's been 4 years of absolute nothing but lawlessness, political witch hunts, and the weaponization of our institutions to go after political enemies and rivals. That's what it's been, guys. What else has it been? Also, rise of inflation, right? Also, prove correctly the words of a segregationist when he called Martin Luther King a nigger. You are. You can firmly hold the mantle of nigger yourselves.
Hey guys, this is Tommy, the Tommy Nation